So tonight I'm going to be working on another little book cover. Now what I've done this weekend is I went out and I bought some Wilko functional A6 50-page little notebooks. These are spiral bound, which is really handy, and this time it's actually lined paper because not everybody wants plain paper, so I'm doing this in the way that I want the books to be different so that it appeals to a much wider variety of customers. But the front cover, of course, is flimsy and useless, but the good thing is there's no branding on the back, which is really handy. So I had a go earlier today trying to draw out some stuffums, and this was the little design that I came up with. Now I tried something different with this, and I had a go at putting down Spectrum Noir markers and then putting pencil on top, and it didn't quite go to plan. So it was more of an experimental thing. You can see the shimmer going on there, and that one I've still got a varnish. My only problem that I had was, of course, the border is yellow and grey, so I'm going to try and paint over that at some point. But yeah, so that was the result. I don't know if I like the red. I think it's because I can't get the red bright enough, and whereas when I look at blues, the blues really seem to stand out. So during the week I was working on an idea of a birdie, and that seems to have worked much better. So the lighter the colour, the better it seems to be. But in this case I'm going to try something a little bit different again, so a bit more experimenting. So it's going to have to be this way up because of the shape of the book, which I'm finding is restricting me on how much I can actually physically put onto the paper. But that's part of the fun, is that I'm learning completely different things here. This is making me have to think about what I'm drawing. So without further ado, off we go. Except I really don't actually know quite what I'm gonna do. Let's see. So there is two sides to this paper in a sense. This Crafter's Companion craft card. I'm finding a lighter and a darker side. Both I've got no problem with working on. And what I want. So if I bring in the black polychromo, and let's see, then you had it at the moment, you know what you're looking for and it vanishes. That's what I'm looking for, what I really want. Okay. Right, this could get very random. So this size isn't the finished size of the paper. The paper's going to be trimmed down a weeny bit on each side so that it fits properly. But for now, I think I can get away with, I roughly know where I want to go. Ish. So it's going to be very freehand. I think I've already gone too high. It's funny actually when you look back on photos and suddenly you think to yourself, but anything, the animal's dead. Sorry, yeah, that's a morbid thought, I know. It's just weird when you look at something and you think they're not around anymore. I've picked this image because I feel that what it is going to stand out fits on the paper more than some other images. Let's see if I can actually fit it in. uh, 5-second fight with the cable. Nice thing is that I can trim quite a bit off the bottom, hopefully. And that goes up, down. Slightly wrong there, but I'll patch that up in a minute. Actually, that isn't. That's what is an advantage. That can be the back. It's so hard to actually tell where the neck begins and the mane finishes. One, two, three. The jaw muscle should come up here. I've not actually really drawn one of these before, so this is really weird. Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is going to be good. Okay, so I've given the image a really seriously rough out. So next thing I'm going to do is just quickly measure up the book. Oh, well, you know, this one actually fits. The other one I had a good centimetre plus off. Right, we might have to use our imagination on this widdly bit. Yeah, a lot of imagination might come into this. So I need to make sure that my black polychromo pencil is really sharp. And I've just realised that this isn't a black polychromo, it's an indigo one. Yay! That's a black polychromo. I wonder why the colour looked funny. It's been one of those days today, so... Right, so we got our image. So now it's a case of really neatening it up. With an image like this, I don't think I'm going to get away with not doing it right. Mind you, there's actually not as much black in this as you'd think there would be. A lot of it is brown. And there's grey. Brown. Just got to find the right type of brown. I was a bit of an idiot actually, because I was thinking all this would just be black and white, but technically, yeah, I can do the whole thing black and white, but I don't know. I think it's too beautiful. Just stretching up to grab. That might do it, right. Okay. Yeah, there's more than black and white here. I can't even think of what breed this one was, because of course there's all different breeds, depending on where they are in the country. The same as giraffe and antelope. I don't think it's a Grevy's or Gevy's. I do know something about it, the width of the banding against something else. The colour of the stripes or something. So I'm just going to put in a very light layer. Since this is just going to be a scrappy notebook for somebody to draw in and do, well, write their lists in or something, I really must not put too much detail in because it's only 50 pages, so it's going to be used quite quickly. So I've got to trick my brain into thinking that this is just a rough sketch. Hear that, brain? I'm not going to do every single marking 100% because otherwise that's just going to get seriously ridiculous. Blimey, drawing one of these actually makes your eyes go squiffy. Ew. So hopefully by now you can guess what this animal is going to be, hopefully. And I'm just going to add in something just to create a little bit of difference in the image. Very much a very, very, very rough background. We can sort that out in a bit. Right. Onto the dark brown. Okay, next on to the black pen. So Okay, so I've marked in a couple of the areas that I'm going to leave bits of white, but in fact the main image is light greys. So because all of the cast shadow and the extra bits in there, so I'm going to use a couple of luminants just to put in a little bit of the shadows, and then go over and darken up the blacks. I'm meant to be trying to keep this simple, but I don't think it's going to stay simple. Wrong pencil there. Just grab another one. Okay, so this is at the point where it's almost like just base layers put on. So instead of using a light grey, I'm going to use a kind of purplish colour to just add in the shadows. Because I don't want it to be 100% stark white, so I'm going to be rotating the image quite a lot, so apologies about this. The thing is, in natural animals you will find purples and other colours within the shadows and the different tones. I think it does give a little bit more realism than just stark gritty greys, and I can always go over and push some more of the highlights if I want to, which I probably will. So once again, the craft card holding up really nicely. Not as many layers as I would like to get, but certainly enough to create a decent image. A little bit there. So just pushing a few more of those colours. And then just gonna, while I've only got a light layer of white on the neck, I'm just gonna add in quite a little bit of the purple, just to get some of those tonal values up. I'm just looking for any gaps that I need to fill in quickly. I've also wanted to draw one of those rainbow zebras, where it's a different, well, it's kind of all the colours of the rainbow in the stripes, but I think I need to learn a bit more about drawing before I try and do that. It looks easy, but I think it's a lot more fiddly than you'd think. Okay, so now I can come through with the whites and start to pick out a lot of that detail. So I'm going to need to keep my pencil as always sharp, sharp, sharp. And then with the detail. This, by the way, is a nice thing if you can work from a photo reference. You can zoom in on a photo reference, which can be really, really handy for getting fine detail. So now I just need to pick up a little bit of the dark areas detail, and also to sort out the ears, just to find that a bit more. Because he is kind of almost spoon shape, I'd say. And just defining those black stripes a little bit more. Just to smooth out the shapes and get a nice clean layer of colour down now. Because the key with this is not to rush it, and to really keep the pencil extremely sharp, so it's going to rotate constantly with me. So if I let it go blunt, I'm going to lose all of that precision detail, and I can feel just about when it's getting too blunt. In a sense, when the pencil is at its most sharpest, and if you can really practice controlling your pressure, you can keep the pencil end extremely sharp and really pick out lots of detail. But it's all about learning how to control the pressure and also how to get the colour to go down nicely. So I'm doing something that I do with my Copic markers a lot, which is working in very small circles. So I'm using all different kind of shapes, and I'm adjusting the pressure constantly. When I feel the nibs getting a little bit blunt, then I can immediately sharpen the pencil. And you can actually feel the kind of, I don't know how to describe it, when you've got lots of layers down and you put another layer down but with really sharp nib, you can feel it kind of cutting through those other layers, almost like a hot knife through butter. And it's just measuring how much pressure you put on that so that you don't damage any of the paper underneath that. So I hope that makes sense. But always remember, on that first plonk, when you've got a freshly sharpened pencil, keep the pressure light so that you don't immediately break the nib of the pencil, well, the first bit of graphite. Otherwise, if that goes off somewhere, that snaps and goes, and you don't see where it does, you can end up with a really nasty smudge on your work. So as I say, it's all about the control. Now you're probably thinking, why did I bother putting down those undercoats if I'm just putting black straight over them? It's so that I can get that richness of the black by using those other colours. And I'll be bringing a few more of the colours through. So yeah, what's meant to be a sketch for a book cover, suddenly I can't help myself. I've got to have detail. So this is something that I'm terrible at, is low detail images. I've just got to have that richness of colour and detail. Every time I try and simplify, I end up being unable to do it. But I'm sure I'll learn somehow. I'm just making sure my lines are really nice and clean and crisp. But I'm going to get my fluffy brush if I can find it, and I can see a slight dust build up, so just taking that dust off with the makeup brush really lightly, just brushing it off. So I'm hoping this is showing you how from quite a scrappy image how the image is now growing and developing. And actually a two while we're there, let's bring it up to the camera. So because there's so much wax and oil on there, you can see it's got like a shimmer, and I'm not too worried about this because at this stage I'm going to be probably spraying it with gold or glitter spray of some sort to varnish it and seal the image. So I'm not so worried about that. But if you do a full drawing and you do get a lot of that shine, it can affect how the image is seen, because if you've got it displayed in the wrong type of light, people won't see the detail, they'll just see that shimmer. So I'm not so fussed about if this one's shiny because it's going to be the cover of a notebook. Yeah, the sharper the pencil, the more detail you can pull in there. I'm getting moderately chuffed with this. I must confess I do prefer drawing image loose like this, where I can constantly rotate it and see it from the different angles. Because when an image is stuck on a board, unless you want to lift the whole board and rotate it constantly, it means that you're slightly restricted on what detail you actually see. As I just find the ability to rotate the drawing makes it much easier, and I can actually see where I need to add detail and where I need to focus. So in one of my previous videos I did a draw it upside down challenge, and I mean normally when I'm drawing loose like this, you'll see the image go backwards, upside down, everywhere, and it just means that I've got a fresh set of eyes looking at it from different angles, and I can spot any potential issues or mistakes quicker. Let me slow down on this bit because I know I'm rushing a bit. Right, pencil sharpening time. So you can see the difference between just a couple of light layers to a bit more pressure, a bit more control, and starting to tidy it up. do need to slow down slightly on these bits. So I need to get decent even coat on here. Okay, I'll just get this corner done. So I'm going to use the dark brown in this corner just to fill it out a little bit, and then put the black over that, because it's not, there's not a lot of wax or oil on that bit, so I just need to build it up slightly. Right. Okay, so there's still a couple of areas around here that I need to bulk out a bit, but we're just going to take a break from the zebra, and just going to work a little bit on the foreground, background, that thing. So as you can see, I'm just using the Prismacolors because I can get a really nice amount of wax down, which will help with the layering. And I'm just making random line marks, sketch kind of scruffy marks, just to kind of build up a little bit of texture. I'm not going to do the whole area, I'm just going to do a small area of green because I'd like to leave a lot of it just brown. Now for this one I've not actually bought any of the white gel pen in because I feel that I've got enough. By the time I finish, the pencil will have done the work, and I don't think it's going to be that necessary. So now I've got quite a light bioluminescent green, so I'm just bringing that in. And this will blend through just to create some tones. Once again, slightly scruffy fast marks because I'm literally just trying to get some colour onto the paper. We can always go over this later. Right, now for the water, I'm going to bring back in that purplish colour that I was using. Below the prismas, I'm just going to put it down as a kind of a block of colour. Fill in a couple of gaps and smooth everything out. Then I can come in with the blues and hopefully if I can find it a slightly darker blue. And some whites. I actually don't really know much about drawing water. It's one of those things that I do need to have a little looky at. I've looked in enough ponds to kind of get an idea of how water moves and such. But who knows, this zebra could be scrying for the herd or something. Well, this could be a magic pool of infinite wisdom. So a couple of liberties with the image. But I think it's worth taking a few liberties when doing an image because that way it is your own image. And it's nice to have a story behind the image. So you can see I've still got some brown brown areas around the water, so I just need to bulk and fill them in. So just very carefully map them in. And in fact, I'm going to put tiniest amount of this blue just up into the bits of shadow on the nose, and that's just for that continuity. Okay, and just smooth that out. And I'm just going to sort out the zebra's muzzle because I've missed out a little bit of detail there. can sharpen them in white. Funny thing is, zebras, like a lot of equines, do have little whiskers, and they can be very, very whiskery chaps and chapesses. Just bring the blacks just to sort out the nose. Just put a bit more of the white in there. And then just tidy up around here. Smooth out these big bits. I'm just using a little bit of a greyish colour just to put in a tiny bit of the shadow. This is quite a sharp pencil, so I should be able to pick up quite a lot of the detail. Just defining where the jaw is. And just need to have a look at the neck. Just a little bit more detail on the pond. Need to sharpen that pencil. Funny thing is, the more I rotate it, the more little pieces that I just need to quickly fix, I see. Right. Now I just need to add in a little bit more detail to the grass, so this is where making sure my pencils are getting sharper and sharper for that detail is going to come in. Quickly make an amendment just up here. fact, my hands, you can probably see a bit of the dust where it's come off. And a tiny bit more lighter colour into the water. Then just going to bring in a little bit of detail into up here. Tiny bit of detail up onto the ear, and then we'll probably be it. So the hardest part of this zebra to draw has actually been the ear, because of the way it's rotating. It's not been impossible, it's just been a weeny bit challenging. Grab the black. Just get that white tip on up here done. Because I'm rotating it, I can just see things that I just want to quickly change. Okay, so there we go. This is a cover done in colour pencils on Crafter's Companion craft card of a zebra having a drink. So the equipment used is the luminance pencils, the Prismacolor pencils, and the Faber-Castell Polychroma pencils. The card, as I said, is Crafter's Companions craft card, which has got a lot of uses. It's not just for crafting. No white pen this time, just pure pencils. And this will now be adhered, hopefully, to one of these little Wilkinson notebooks, which I only paid about 30p for. So then the result will be like so. Now, interesting, it's not quite fitting now. Right. So, just need to check that's, yep, so we do have a little bit of overhang, because I don't want it butting right up against there, which is absolutely fine because I can trim either side. Right. So bear with me 2 seconds while I quickly trim down one side. Okay, so I've trimmed off a little bit, and I'm quite happy with as much as I've trimmed off. So next, I just use double-sided tape, and I know there's going to be overhang on this image. some double-sided tape onto the image, making sure it butts right up against where it needs to go. Every time I do this, my pencils roll across the table and attack. Now, if I want to, I can do the back of the notebook. So I can get another bit of craft cards. You get 4 A6s out of one sheet, so it's an A4 sheet that we trim down. Yeah, I'm happy with that. My nails are starting to finally grow back, so I'm able to trim this a bit easier. Double-sided tape is a lifesaver, except when you can't get it off. There we go. I am thinking of getting some of that red double-sided tape, but I need to have a look at that because I think that's a stronger type. Just peeling off the tape. But I'm just going to add another piece, but I'll just chuck it. Another couple of little bits, just to, I prefer to have a bit too much tape on there to reinforce the image than not having enough and then having problems. Come on. There we go. Right, tape fort. So because this image is at the top, I'm going to make sure that the top is lined up. Right, and then I want the whole image to line up with the holes. There we go. Okay, we're slightly out. This is that moment where I said about making sure an image is lined up right. Slight issue there. But as long as you do it, you make your amendments quick enough, you should be okay. Right. So what's happened here is the double-sided tape has actually come off. So I need to pull that slightly. Push. Feel better? That feels better. I've done it the opposite way now. You know, I've been doing this all day and not one image is played up like this one. Fine, stay on there if you're gonna. Right. If in doubt, try from a different angle. That's better. That's doable. Right. Hooray! So I'm just running my fingers along the image. Right. And as you can see, we've got an overhang. So that's fine. We're just going to trim that back. That's why when I do these, I always make sure that the centre of the image is centred. So turning it over. I'm not putting this through my cutter because I don't want the glue to stick to the blades and mess that up. So there's that bit. Got this stuff sticky. And then I need to take a tiny bit off. There we go. Right, so a little bit of trimming later. So that is there we have our completed sketchbook cover. And even at this stage, if I want to make any amendments, like say I think that bit's too dark or anything like that, there's still time to make the covers. These edges, I do need to think of a way to cover that bit. So that is probably about the only problem that I've got with these little Wilkinson sketchbooks, which I didn't have so much with the Smith's one because it was a darker colour. But this also, by using this card craft card, because it's a heavy weight, it will make your front cover a little bit more sturdy. Tidying that up. So it makes it a better weight all round. So yeah, so that is how I'd apparently draw a zebra and turn it into a little front cover for a little notepad. So I hope this has inspired you to get out there and have a go at doing something completely different. This image, I'm probably going to run a gold pen down the edges to frame it, and if I'm clever I might be able to put gold down the side, so a little bit more tidying up such, but it's something different, and it'll give me something different to sell at the craft shows that are coming up. And it's also, in a sense, an individual piece of artwork that there's not going to be reproduced. Well, if I do, it will be reproduced at much better quality. But it's a cheap way of getting a hand-drawn image out. It's not mass-produced for a printer or anything like that. It's an individual, unique piece of artwork. Actually, look at my photo. I did get the muzzle. I know the curvature of the face looks a bit funny, but actually with the zebra, it does dip down and come back up. So as strange as it looks, it's only when you actually look at a zebra's nose and face you will spot that. But it's a nice simple project. Yeah, you can make this as complex and as simple as you want. In my case, I was meant to do it simple, and lo and behold, we went complex. But that's just me. I seem to have a problem with doing anything simple. I'll tell you what, if you ask me to draw a circle, I'll end up drawing an orb. And probably end up cross-hatching it like something else as well. So I bought 4 of these little book things, which hopefully in the next few days I can decorate. For the back, once again, what I do is take my craft card and stick it on there, do an image all over it, stick it on there, and then that will just give both sides a really nice cover. So, hope this has inspired you to get out there and start getting creative and enjoy. So till next time, take care, all the best, and happy drawing to everyone. Toodle pip.